So good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another class. So the last thing we did, we completed chapter 7.3. We looked at all of the basically how to develop a spreadsheet. We looked at how to create a formula. Remember, we used BODMAS, and we looked at the different types of functions. We looked at average, count A, count if function, PMT, rank, VLOOKUP, and then we looked at relative and absolute addressing. Anyone remembers what are the two ways that we use relative absolute addressing? What are the two methods of absolute addressing?
Sir, by naming the cell or putting dollar signs in front of the
Very
cell
good. So
when
where are you putting this dollar sign?
sir before the name of the cell, like dollar sign E3 and then dollar sign E4.
Yes, but specifically before you're putting the dollar signs. Remember, that's what you have to remember. Specifically, before what and what do we have to put the dollar signs?
Sir, before the column letter and the row number.
Very good. Before the column letter and the row number. So if you look at any one of these cell names, I think there should be an example here. Um, okay, there's no example, but simply put in the dollar sign before the letter or the column, and then another dollar sign before the row number. So please remember that. That is the other method of absolute addressing. So we already looked at the questions. You guys did the exercises as your assignment, and then you presented it also. So remember, these exercises is for your practical experience, for you to get an understanding how to use spreadsheet. So you did it already, but if in the future you don't remember how to use maybe a function, or you don't remember how to do something, look back at the exercise, go through the exercise once again, and that will help you. All right, so today we're looking at chapter 7.4, formatting a spreadsheet. So we basically looked at how to put in the data, how we put in information, how we put in the functions, how we put in the formula. Now we're going to look at how to format those data. Where's the notes? Yes, so we're going to be looking at how to format the data, how to change the format, how to align our data, and even how to protect it. And later on, we're going to combine the rest of exercises and have another set of presentation with the other exercises. So to get us started with this chapter, not sure I recorded who was the last reader. Let's see. I don't think we had a reader for a while. Okay, I have Shamli here. Let me start from Shamli. I think we had finished. Let me start back from the top, and then I record from there. All right. Amina, can you read the first two paragraphs there for us?
Formatting features. You can use a variety of formatting features such as bold, alignment, and font size to display your data effectively. The options on the Home tab or the Format Cells feature can change the number of on the format, change the alignment text or data, format text and individual characters, add different kinds of borders, shade cells with colors or patterns.
Great. So as mentioned, we in our spreadsheet we put in our data into spreadsheets. So say for example you created a table and you have a table, say you're selling items. You have items, you have the price and cheese stick. Maybe that's 120, a Dixie, that's 300. So we put in our data. Now after you put in your data, you need to format those data. So where do we get the formatting options for our data? Please remember it's under the Home tab. So in your spreadsheet, remember all of these options that you have at the top here are called tabs, T-A-B-S. So this is the Home tab, the Insert tab, the Draw tab, the Page Layout tab, the Formulas tab, the Data tab, and so on. So under the Home tab, you are going to find the formatting options. Now, what does it mean to format? So anytime in the future we say to format, what basically do we mean when we say to format? Well, some simple examples would be to change the number format. So for example, you can put a number as a percentage. You can put a number as a currency. There's different ways to represent numbers: percentage, decimal places, currency, and so on. Put it in a date. Those are different ways that you can represent numbers. Now, how else can you format the data? You can change the alignment. So when you change the alignment, it could be either left align, right align, just like in your Word document. When you have a Word document and you guys are typing your assignment, sometimes you might have words on the left hand side and then you put it on the right hand side. You can do the same for spreadsheet also. Align your text, align your data. What else can you do to format? You can format the text. You can change the font. You can change the color. You can change the font style. All of those are options that you're gonna have when it comes to formatting. You can add borders, you can add shade cells, you can shade the cells with colors and patterns and so on. So it's just a matter, all of the options are right here. If you look in the font section, this section here deals with all of the fonts. So say for example you want to bold, you have the bold options. If you want to make something italic, you have the italic option there. If you want to change the color, this one here fill, this one fills the background color. If you want to change the font color, that's this one here with the A. So you can change the font color, you can increase the size, you can decrease the size, you can change the format is the way something, exactly, the format is the way something is displayed. So how you want to present your data, when we say to format, we mean to change how persons would see it, how you would represent it. So if you want to add borders, the option is right here. We have different options of borders here. We have underline. What else do we have? And over here in the alignment, we have all of the alignment options. So if you want to center your headings, you have that option there. If you want to, remember numbers are right aligned by default. So if you want it on the left, you can put it on the left, nothing's wrong. But numbers are more better presented on the right hand side. So that's why it's default on the right. If you want these here to be centered, you have all of the options right here. All of these are to format your data. We also have the number format over here in the number section. So if we want the numbers, for example, in to have the dollar sign, decimal places, and so on to look like actual money values, we can use that accounting option. Or if we don't want accounting, we can use currency. We have other number options. We have the date option. We have the time option. We have the percentage. We have different ways of formatting our data to present our data. So whenever you hear the word format, it basically means to change how the data will look so that other persons can see the data and make sense of it, so that they can understand what it is, so that they can know that this is a percentage and it's not in fact a currency, or it should be a currency and not a percentage. That's what it means to change how the data looks. Any questions?
No, sir.
Great. So remember, anytime I say format, so in the future I might say format your data, format your values, format your table. That's basically what I'm referring to. Even if it's Word, even if you're using Word, it's the same thing also. When we say to format, say you had a table here. Say this is your table and your table has data inside of it. And I might say format your table. I'm basically trying to say bold your headings, change the font size, align your data, either center it, left align it, something along that line would refer to formatting. Now, some things that you guys should remember when it comes to formatting is the shortcut keys. Anyone remember what's the shortcut for bold?
Control B.
Control and B, very good. So shortcut keys are important to remember because it makes typing your document faster. So CTRL and B, that's going to give you bold. Wow. What is italic? What's the shortcut for italic?
The letter I.
Letter I, and which key? Letter I and?
The same key used before, CTRL-I.
Very good. CTRL, Control, and I. So it's easy to remember these shortcuts. B for bold, I for italic. What about underline?
CTRL-U.
CTRL-U, very good. So U for underline. What else? What about save? That should be an easy one.
CTRL.
CTRL.
Yes.
Yes, good. Undo.
CTRL-Z.
CTRL-Z, good. And redo.
CTRL-Y.
CTRL-Y. Good. So those are some of the common ones. What about copy now? CTRL.
C.
C, good. Cut. CTRL. Here's a hard one.
CTRL-X.
X, very good. And paste.
CTRL.
LP.
E. E.
P, somebody else.
V.
Yes, V. So now all of them are based on the first letter of the word. So what does CTRLP do? Oh, CTRLP is a print. So it's using print. CTRLP, that's a print. So those are some common shortcut keys that you guys should remember. So whenever you're preparing your documents, make use of them. The more you use them as you prepare your documents, the more you'll get familiar with them. I think I mentioned this already. If you hover your cursor over them, it actually shows you what is the shortcut key. So the shortcut for, I think there's a shortcut for decreasing and increasing the font. Control and left. No. I can't quite remember it. You also have, there's supposed to be a shortcut key for left align and right align also. Either way, but those are the most common ones that you should remember so that you can format your data. Good. Next, we're moving on to the next paragraph. Let's see. Brittany, can you read next paragraph for us?
Sir, and you in the format cells dialog box, you can make the desired changes in each of the tabbed areas, including formatting numbers, aligning data, customizing fonts, applying borders, and shading. After making the customization changes, click OK to close the dialog box and return to the worksheet.
Very good, Emmanuel. So as mentioned already, formatting, what does formatting refer to? Changing the numbers, formatting the numbers, aligning the data, customizing the font, applying borders, shadings, and so on. That's what it means to format. So what number formats do we have now as options? Brittany, are you there? No, Brittany. Crystal? Crystal, I know you're there.
Me?
No,
The
Simon.
answer?
Simon.
Oh.
Crystal Simon.
Sir, I'm not too sure.
Can you read for us, Simon?
Format numbers. You can use a variety of formatting features to change the number's appearance. Right click on the cell containing a number to view the number tab in the format cell dialog, where you can choose a category of numbers, currency, percentage, date, and so on, a style, decimal, commas, and so on. You can also perform basic number formatting using the icons of the number section of the home tab.
Thank you for your efforts. We hope you get well soon. So, once again, we have number formats, and we can change the format of numbers as mentioned. We can change the currency, we can change the percentage, we can change the date, and so on. Those are the different formats of the number. The style now would refer to if we add decimal, if we add comma, and so on. So once again, going back to the spreadsheet, looking back at our numbers, we have the number options here. And how do we increase our decimal places? Well, if you look right in the number section, we have the decimal places options right here. The one pointing to the right would decrease, and the one pointing to the left would increase the decimal places for you. So if you want more than 2 decimal places, say you want 4, you can have 4. Now, one thing to note is that you do not need to format one data at a time. You don't need to format one at a time. You can highlight all of them. So say there is a lot of numbers here, like this here, there's a lot of numbers here. And in order, you don't have to go to them one by one. You can highlight all of them, highlight all of the data, and format all of them at once. Once it's the same type of data, once it's all numbers or it's all letters, it will allow you to format all at once. So I can increase the decimal places for all of them at once. I can decrease it, or I can even change the type. I can change all of them to dates. I can change all of them to fractions. I can add my dollar sign, whatever the case may be. I can add comma, and so on. Now, one thing to note is that there's the difference between just adding comma style and using the currency and seeing the comma. Because a question or an exercise or something practically might tell you to add commas. So adding commas, it's not only about turning it into currency or accounting. You can leave it as a regular number. Notice it's a regular number, and you can simply add the commas without it having dollar sign or a percentage sign or any sign. So it's just styling the number so that it has that comma, so that you can easily read what value it is. That these 2 numbers at the bottom, they're in the tens. If you add more, we can see that now it's in the millions. Whereas if there is no commas, if there is none, like this here, we would have to be putting in those commas mentally. So remember, there's a difference between adding the comma style and changing it to currency to see those commas. There's a difference between the two there. Alright, so that's how you format. You can also get more options if you want. You can right click on it, the data that you highlighted, and you can go to format cells at the bottom here of the right click option, and then this box is going to appear. Or to get that same box, you can click on this drop down arrow here, and you're going to see more number options. So you have 2 locations to find that data on that box. So the format cells box. So here you can further format your data. You have more control. So we can select the currency. We can say, give me 4 decimal places. And if you look at the top here, you're going to see a preview of the data. So we can say what type of symbol we want with it. If I want Bitcoin, symbols up here. Okay, so notice I now have 120 Bitcoin, 300 Bitcoin. Say now you're in Europe and you want euros. Where's euros? Or say you want yen. We have the yen symbol there now. So those format cells, that dialog box, it gives you more options. You can further align your data here. If you want to change the degree of it. So notice if I change the degree, this box over here, 45 degree. Okay. So notice my data now, it's slanted 45 degrees. Let me undo that. other options do we have? Back into the format cell. The alignment, we have shrink text, shrink to fit. We can change the font inside here also. We can add different types of borders. We can fill it in and so on. So this is basically the box that has all of the options that you're seeing at the top here, so that you can format your data more. Are you guys following?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Anyone with any questions? No questions? Why is Nash calling me queen? Alright, let's look at aligning our data now. So next up we have Brittany, are you back? Still no Brittany? Dante?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Yes, can you read align data?
Align data. Okay. The alignment tab, figure 7.38, has options to change the position of text within a cell. This tab is used to determine the horizontal and vertical alignment of data in selected cells. Sir, you have to. The orientation of data in selected cells. Whether long cell entries should be wrapped within the cell, this is the warp text. Whether text size should shrink to fit the column width, this is shrink to fit. Whether selected cells should be merged to form a single cell, this is merge cells. The direction of the text left to right. You can also perform basic data alignments using the icons on the formulating toolbar.
Good. So notice the same box here, the format cells box with the alignment. So let's look at all of those options. So as it mentioned, the alignment tab in the format cells box, it allows you to align your data. So you can do horizontal, vertical alignment. So if you go to alignment, notice we have the horizontal and the vertical alignment here. So horizontal and vertical in terms of what? Well, if I extend it so that you can see the cell more clearly, and I right click here, format cells, the alignment horizontally, remember horizontal is left to right. So you can say left align, center, right align, fill, justify, and so on. Because if you notice, the same options are at the top here. Right next to margin center, the options are right at the top here. But if you notice, you don't see the option to justify and all of those things. So you have those options in here, fill, justify, and so on. And if anyone just noticed what I did, a shortcut into the alignment tab is just clicking on this arrow here. It basically gives you a shortcut into the format box, to that tab. So clicking on this arrow here takes me to the alignment tab for that format cell. So if I want it left align, horizontal, and then vertically, remember vertical is up and down. So if I want it at the top of the cell to the left, notice it's at the top of the left to the left, the top of the cell to the left now. And the options are out here also. As the center, and well, this is the center here, vertically and horizontally. This is the bottom alignment, vertical bottom alignment. So that is the horizontal and vertical alignment. You can change the orientation of the data in the cell. You can use wrap text. So you have to remember what is wrap text. So when we type a lot of data into a cell, for example, I'm going to type a bunch of characters here. And for example, letters or labels, when you type a lot of them, they hide basically behind of the cell that is next to it. So if you notice, I typed all of this information here, but not all of it is showing. It's hiding behind of this cell here, basically. Got cut off here. Let me delete this text here. So all of this here, it's hiding, it's cut off here. Wrap text now will allow you to wrap the information inside of the cell. So notice more of the information is showing because I made it bigger. So what it's going to do, no matter the width of the cell, it's going to wrap the information inside of the cell. So notice I extend and it's still wrapped around inside of the cell here. So if I carry this up, notice it's wrapped around inside of the cell. If I take it off, I'm only going to see one row of information. Whereas wrap text is going to give me multiple rows based on how much I can see. But if you notice, when you make it smaller, it still cuts off some of the information. It's still cutting off some of the information. So that is where the shrink to fit can come in. The shrink to fit now will shrink the data into the cell. So where is shrink to fit? Click back on the option there to go into the format box, and you can notice seems I gotta take off wrap text to put on shrink to fit. So I'm selecting shrink to fit option. Okay, so if you notice now, the information is there, but it shrunk the information to fit inside of the cell. So if I extend, the more it's going to get bigger. But the more I make it smaller, the more it's going to shrink the information to fit inside of that cell. So that is shrink to fit. As the name implies, it shrinks the data to fit inside the cell. And wrap text, it wraps the data inside of the cell. We already know what is merge cells. You can take a few cells and merge them together as one. So merge cells, merge them as one. And you have to be careful with merge when you're merging cells. Remember, when you're merging cells, it only keeps the upper left value and discards the other value. That's what the error message is saying. It only keeps the upper left value and discards the other values. So prices here is going to disappear, and it's only going to keep items. Notice, deleted item, prices, and it kept items because it was in the upper left. Undo. So if I highlight all of this here, only items will be kept. If I merge all of these cells, same error message, it's going to discard everything, and only items was kept. So you gotta be careful when you're merging and understand what happens when you're merging cells with data inside of it. Remember, we have a few options when it comes to merge. We have merge in center, merge across, merge cells, and so on. So what is merge across now? Well, it merges the selected cells in the same row into one large cell. So this one here, it seems it puts the information in center. Let me unmerge. Deleted that data, left the line, and merge across. Okay, it seems it does merge the cells together. Not really doing much of anything else. Merge selected cells in the same row into one large. Can you merge? Oh, so merge across only merges rows together. If you notice what has happened, I'm highlighting multiple rows here, and when you select the merge across, instead of merging all of those into one, it merged it into the rows. So this is one entire row now. This made that one, another one here. So it didn't merge all into one. Whereas the merge cell everything into one cell. So merge cell merges everything to one, and merge across basically merges the rows together. And the margin center, but that basically merges everything together and then centers the information. And yes, that's all of the options that we have there for alignment. Let me see if there's anything else. So we looked at the horizontal alignment, we looked at the vertical, wrap text, shrink to fit, merge cell, text direction. So if you wanted right to left, let me try to this one here, right to left. Not seeing much of a difference. Maybe right to left. Oh no, right to left. Nope, still not seeing much of a difference there. So what else do we have? And then I showed you guys how to set the degree if you wanted to have a certain angle. So notice the information there is in that angle there. Great, are you guys following?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any questions? Anyone in the formatting?
No, sir.
Alright.
Yes, sir.
You got a question?
No, no, sir.
Okay. Alright, good. So protection now. So we know that our spreadsheet is going to have sensitive information inside of it. It can have data on the items we're selling, maybe student grades and so on. So we need to protect it. So the protection tab provides a privacy feature to your worksheet or workbook. You can add a password so that unauthorized users are prevented from changing. You cannot change, move, delete any specific cells of data in a sheet, or from even opening and modifying the entire workbook. So that same formatting tab, format cells box, you got protection at the end here. So we can lock it here, or we can make the file hidden. Now, let me see. I don't think that option there does much of a protection. This option here, I think it's more of this option here, the under review, the protect sheet. So password to unprotect sheet. So if you want a password, you can put in a password here, and then you can say basically what the person can or cannot do. Allow all users of this worksheet to do all of these things here, so you can check it or uncheck basically what you want the person to be able to do or not. So you can protect the sheet. So if you notice, there's a protect sheet option. So you can protect the sheet here, or if you want to protect the entire file, that is going to be the protect the workbook option. So you can put in a password here to protect your workbook, so that maybe persons don't open it, or if they get to open it, they do not change anything inside of the workbook. Good, so that's how you protect your spreadsheet, that's how you protect your sheets, that's how you protect your workbook. So this exercise here, once again I mentioned, we're going to compile it. We can add it to the other exercises that are going to come up. So please ensure you are practicing all of your exercises. Ensure you're practicing all of your exercises so that you get to understand, you get to know, you get to remember how to use spreadsheets. Any questions on this chapter before we go on to the new chapter? Any questions?
No, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're moving on to 7.5 now. And this chapter, we're looking at searching for records. So basically, you already entered data into your spreadsheet. So say for example, you had a larger table, like for example this here, you had more information, you already format it, we just learned how to format it, we just learned how to format the data. And now you need to know how to search for data. So it's not just about scrolling through your spreadsheet and trying to find your data, but we can use some features, we can use some options that will allow us so that we can search for specific type of data. Say for instance, I want to search for this 1200. I can type in a certain option. I use a certain feature to find that 1200. Or say for instance, no, not VLOOKUP. We're not looking at functions, we're looking at features. There's features in spreadsheets. Like for example, there is the sorting option. If you guys can remember, we were talking about sorting in one previous chapters. I think it was this chapter here. And we were looking at the rank function. There's a sort option that you have to use so that one way you can search for data. We also have filters. So we have two types of filter. We have the auto filter and we have the advanced filter. And what else do we have? Pivot tables and pivot charts. Pivot table and pivot charts. So those are some of the ways that we can search for data in our spreadsheet, pivot charts. So we'll be learning about all of those methods, using all of them to search for data, because you have to imagine the spreadsheet having a lot of data. There's a lot of sheets at the bottom here, like this here. There's a lot of sheets and there's a lot of data inside of it. So it's going to take a long time for you to search through it manually. So we're going to look at the features that we can use to basically make it easier for us to sort information. So the first feature we're going to look at is sorting. Let's see. Darren, could you read that paragraph for us? Sorting.
You can rearrange the rows or columns of a list by sorting according to the values in the list. When you sort, Microsoft Excel rearranges rows, columns, or individual cells by using the sort order that you specify. You can sort lists in ascending 1 to 9, A to Z, or descending 9 to 1, C to A order. The sort can be based on the contents of one or more columns.
Good. So you guys should be able to understand this concept of sorting, because in maths, when you were learning maths, they would have taught you how to sort numbers, how to sort information, how to sort data. So you sort alphabetically, A to Z. So you might, like if for instance you're sorting somebody's name, you're gonna sort it alphabetically, and then you might ask which one the name. Sort the first name alphabetically, or sort the last name alphabetically. So yes, in algebra you have to sort. So for example, numbers, you can sort numbers, lowest to highest number, or highest to lowest number. So it's basically the same idea. When you're sorting the data, you put it in a specific order. Alphabetical order, numerical order, whether it's ascending. Ascending means it is going from the smallest number to the largest, or you can say the first to the last, because A is the first letter and Z is the last letter, so first to last. Or it can be in descending order, whereby it's the largest number to the smallest, or the last value to the first value. Either one, all of those are options for sorted. But just remembering what does ascending mean and what is descending, because those are the terms in spreadsheet you will come across. So we have a table here of an example. So when you're ascending for alphabets, it's going to go A, B, C, D, starting from the first letter to the last one. Numbers are going to be counting from lowest to highest. For dates, if you're going to sort a date, remember date is a number. So it's going to start from the lowest number to the highest. So we have a 1 here, we have a 1 here, but we have a 2 over here, because that's representing the months. If you notice, we have a 15 over here. That's representing the day. So the 15th of January comes before the 1st of February. So that's the sorting order there. Descending order, basically last to first, the last letter to the first letter, or the highest number to the lowest number, and it's going to be the last date to the first date. So the last date being the 2nd of the 1st of February, then the 15th of January, and then the 1st of January. So just remembering how data, what order it goes in, what is ascending and what is descending order. So Destiny, can you read the next portion there for us?
Yes, sir. Sorting a list by one field. Click in any cell of the column you want to use to sort the list. Click either the sort ascending icon or sort descending icon. This can be found on the data tab or menu option depending on your version of Excel.
Great. So when you want to sort one field meaning one column, because remember table is going to have multiple columns of data. Like for example, this table here. Imagine this as a table. It has 2 columns of data. So when you want to sort one field, one column, you basically click in any cell of that column that you want to sort. So if I want to sort the column with all the controls, I need to select any cell inside of this column. If I want to sort this B column, I need to select any one cell inside of this column here. So that's a sort in one field. After you selected that one cell, you click on the sort icon. Where is the sort icon? It's under the data tab. So remember we have different tabs at the top here. Notice the sort icon here. I think it's also here, a shortcut version here on the home tab. So you have 2 locations. You have the home tab with editing at the right hand side. You have the sort options here. Sort A to Z, sort Z to A. Or you can go to the data tab and you're going to see the sort options here. Now, when you're sorting, you select the cell inside of the column. So say I want to sort this information here, and you select which order you want to sort it into. So if I want to sort it A to Z, which is ascending, I click on that, and notice the information is now in ascending order. It's bold, copy, cut, italics. And if any of you notice, the control over here also changed to match the information. It didn't remain the same location. I just undo. Notice underline is a third here. Let me highlight that. Underline is the third row. And if I click on italic and I click on A to Z, notice underline gone all the way to 9, but it still has the matching information. It still has control U next to the underline. So even though you clicked on that one cell to sort the information, it changed the other information in the other columns to match that row. Because remember, always remember, information in a row is related to each other. So it won't just sort the column B and leave column A because it's going to mix up the data. The data won't make sense anymore. Now, what some students do, they highlight the data. Like what I'm doing right now, they highlight all of it, and then they go and sort. And this is where you're going to end up with problem. Because this highlighted data, that will only be sorted. And what you're going to do is mix up the data, because this column A will not be sorted because you're highlighting B. So that's why they're telling you in the first place, just click one cell. Any one cell in the column, just click on that and use the sort option. You can also find it under the right click also. Just right click on it. Just click on any one cell and use the sort option. That is all. Do not highlight the data and then go to sort. What's gonna happen? This warning is gonna come up, and if you notice, it's telling you to expand the selection. What it's basically telling you is that it recognizes that it's a table and you are only highlighting part of the table. So it's telling you expand your selection, highlight the entire table. If you're gonna highlight the entire table and then go to sort. And notice the error message didn't come up because it recognized there's no other information in the spreadsheet next to this table here. So that's why the error message didn't come up. But once you're going to highlight one column and you go to sort, you will get this error message here. And if you continue without continue with the current selection, basically sorting this information only, look what's going to happen. Notice it mixed up the information. Control U is up here, underline is here, Control V is here, and paste is all the way at the bottom here. So you cannot highlight only one column when you are sorting. You either highlight all of the data and then use the sort option, or you simply click on one cell in that column and use the sort option. Are we following?
Yes.
So you guys can create your own table and practice that with your sorting. Now we're 2 minutes, we have 2 minutes remaining, so we're just going to look at the other method of sorting, which is using more than one field. Henry, can you read that for us? Emmanuel Henry?
Yes, sir. Sorting a list by more than one field. Decide on the rows or columns that you want to sort. 2. Make sure the cursor is located within the list and click the sort icon on the data tab, or right click and choose sort. Then custom sort from the menu. Notice that the range of data will be selected. 3. Select the field you want to sort from the drop-down list and specify ascending or descending order. 4. Select a bevel and repeat step 3 for the second and third fields you want to sort by if desired.
Good. So remember, if you want to sort by more than one field, if you want to sort say for example 2 or 3 columns at the same time, you have to use the custom sort option. You're not using the regular sort option. So let me open another spreadsheet. Will this work? Yeah, I think this is going to work. Alright. So I have a table here. And if I just wanted to sort the transport type, I just want to sort this here. Then as we learn, I simply click on any one of the cells in this column here, right click on it, or go to the sort option and choose any one. A to Z, I notice both A is at the top, C is at the bottom. If I do Z to A, C is at the top, A is at the bottom. So that's just sorting one column there, one field. Now when you want to sort more than one field, you can select one cell or you can highlight the entire table. Either one can work. So I'm going to select one cell and I'm going to go to the sort option and I'm going to go to custom sort. Remember, I'm sorting more than one columns, more than one field. So I'm going to go to custom sort and this box here is going to appear. Now in this box here, you can see which column you want to sort, what order you want to sort the columns in. So this row here at the bottom that you're seeing, that's the information you're putting in. So the first option that you have to put in is which column do you want to sort. Do I want the item column, the receive column? Let me drop down the box. Notice the columns at the top here. So I want the transport type column. And I'm sorting the values. If you notice, we can also sort colors, font color, cell color, and so on. So it gets really advanced. You can sort colors. But we're going to sort the values. And we're going to say we want it A to Z. So notice the transport type, which is going to be C and air, we want it A to Z. Now how do we add in the second column? Well, if you notice at the very top now, there is the add level option. So we add a level, and what this is doing now, if you notice, it says sort by, and it's going to sort transport type A to Z. And then the next level, then by. So it's going to sort the transport type and then sort this other row here that we created. So I can say sort the shipped largest to smallest. So what's going to happen here, it's going to sort the transport type A to Z. So we're going to see A at the top, C at the bottom. But within that sorting, we are going to see shipped largest to smallest. Let me run it and we can see what we're talking about. So let's look at this information here. So if you notice, transport type, it's A to Z. A at the top, C at the bottom. But if you notice the shipped, notice the order it is in. If you look at it, it's not really in any specific order because we have 8,000 at the top here. We have 6,500 here, we have 3,500, we got 1,000 in the middle. But remember the sorting that I just did. Let me look back at it. I said to sort the transport type A to Z. And within that A to Z, what it's going to do next is sort the shipping or the shipped items largest to smallest. So within this 2 here, if you look at the numbers, let me highlight it so you can see it better. If you look at these two numbers, it's actually largest to smallest. And if you look at these three numbers at the bottom here, it is largest to smallest. So I just sorted two columns at the same time. I sorted this transport type column first, A to Z. It's A and then C. And then within that A to Z now, I sorted this second column here. Within this A, I sorted largest to smallest. And within the C here, we also have largest to smallest. You guys think you understand what happened there? Are you guys confused?
Yes, sir. I'm cited. Yes, sir.
So it's something you really got to think about. So wrap your mind behind of as to how it is working. But it's simply sorting one column after another. It's sorting the transport type column first, and then it's sorting the ship column. So we can also change this. We can change it to maybe received. So what it's gonna do now is gonna sort transport type and the receive. So if I click this here, so once again, receive, that is largest to smallest, and this one here is largest to smallest also. How can we see the difference? Let me change up this to something larger, and I'm going to sort it again. Sort. So notice the 2355, it went to the top, and it still remained in this C range here. If I made this one larger, and I sort it again, notice transport type is still A to Z. Receive is still largest to smallest, but this large number here went to the top. And if you notice, I'm not sorting this here anymore, so this doesn't really matter. So that's basically how you sort one column and how you sort two columns. So if sort transport, then sort the ship. But since the values are connected to the transport, it sorts them in order to the value for the respective transport. Yes, exactly. Because remember, I mentioned information in a row is related to each other. So it always has to still be linked to this row. It cannot mix up the information. So once air moves and go to the bottom, everything else for that air has to go at the bottom. So even though we have these two airs here, two air, it's not gonna put this information here, this 12,000 at the bottom of this 23, because it's gonna need to put this air also, and that won't make this here A to Z. So it has to work this way. It has to stay within this A and then sort within the A. That way it doesn't mix up the data. And then as it group all of this C here, within the C is gonna have another sorting. So it's like if you're sorting within a sorting, basically. So you sort one time, and in that grouping now, it's gonna do another sorting in that grouping, so that it doesn't mix up the data, so that the row continues to remain the same all the time. Any other questions before we close off?
No, sir.
Aisha, did that help you? So to wrap up what we looked at today, remember we looked at 7.4. Okay. Remember we looked at 7.4, we looked at what does it mean to format. It means to change how the data looks. So you can change the font color, the bold, the alignment, the formatting, whether it's currency, whether it's percentage. You gotta remember what is wrap text, what is shrink to fit, how does merge cells work, how to protect your data, and then we just looked at does data get sorted, how do we sort one column of data, and how do we sort two columns of data. So remember, once again, the exercises are there for your practical experience. So what you guys can do, you can start working on the exercises once again, and that can help you to do the sortings and get a better understanding of it. Alright, so if you guys don't have any questions, we are going to close off here for today. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too, sir, and goodbye, everyone.